Hello, my name is Anthony Wall. There's a former Mayor Gold and a whole bunch of people that used to go to my grammar school that are involved with like people that reportedly went to my grammar school too, like a Chet Casper. I never saw him on my grammar school in my life. I never saw him on the campus of my grammar school in my life. And in other words, because these are people involved with sequence shifts and identity thefts in our Bryan family and the Casper family, a whole bunch of people involved with the clubs with the downtown Hartford, on off Fox Connecticut News, on off buildings next to them, with police forms from former director of the FBI down, a whole bunch of overt criminal enterprises in collusion with crime acts. No illusions. Sequence shifts, natures of identity theft. Sequence true, inherent, finite, active nature of volume, active nature of volume. I mean, no, inherent, active, and progressive with sequence true, and with scientific uses by correlation nature, where prayer is to an extent science, because we're using invisible but still discernible body of value discernment. Only the extent of it is debatable. But if the extent of it is being debated offensively into branch criminally. We have offensive evidence reception crimes against kids, each age of fact cheating nature. There are people next to it's a retirement home now. I forgot the name of the street. It's near it, in the street perpendicular to it, like Maple Street and the one near that retirement home. There's a schedule family and a Demoro family and other houses in their area involved with Weathersfield police. Other former director of the FBI down involved crimes with overt criminal enterprises, crimes with databases with child campuses, criminal uses of where people are going to walk after in relationship to their class placements and stuff like that, involved with Washington D.C., Pentagon, Trade Center, intercity schools, interstates, worse than interstates involved. These are courts that had that through time were attaching kids and are still attached rules attaching kids to fake locations, fake ties to sick people. Big deal. They have titles. Then they say, "Oh, criminally preventing this from being demonstrated, recorded by them, pretending things are recorded with areas in the background." When I'm speaking on YouTube or when people are speaking on Facebook, they have the policing of online platforms that are being used for collusion. Recorded former director of the FBI Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on RICO law, racketeering influence and corrupt organization. Because we have mail crimes, wire crimes, whole wire crime methods, and those actors recorded and involved with uses of Facebook, of YouTube, with all natures of crimes, even sex offenders crimes rolls with campuses, proven and further recorded rolls with that whole bunch of natures of crimes. Criminal uses of military families involved with this, involved with identity thefts, with sustained crimes against anyone not in collusion with criminally foreign influenced, self-valued, exploited, pseudo positive, and that quality of fact cheap in nature, because we have free speech recorded, breaching organized crime method originally and still prevented. Whenever you hear someone make this, all right to have someone have make opinions about racism, but not through time preventing the how the actual logistical impositions in forsaking quality of fact cheap in nature, impositions even self-valued and how maintained. That's how they're maintaining state scenarios, self-value in criminally foreign influence sciences, delusions wrought sciences, criminally foreign influence experts, delusions wrought experts, criminal uses of that. Every type of expert we need is maintained, used to further those things at the same time. Former director of the FBI down, other nations at the same time. Russians and Americans have mental diagnosis and they have all these things that can make it look like that, so they could do that. So we have the right to, and we have the need to have experts, but we have these experts involved with racketeering that is privately most sickly involved with what kept and keep states and areas on off state judicial branch offices, on off the state prison offices. Crime acts rolls with databases facilitated through time, intercampuses connected, recorded. There are crime acts rolls with drug dealing, offensive evidence reception crimes tied to that because they're pretending to be against what they're for. Because they're really doing is maintaining sensibility nature treatments of positive conform to the self-valuing of correlation nature's very actual variables, which reveals the identity of the grounds ties to our quality of fact treatment nature as a nature of volume as the algorithm. So they have everyone conformed to sensibilities with the narratives of victim predator campuses since semi-ancient times. Campus Marcius calls you home is just remind. Free speech. Now one must teach. WFSB has recorded, confessed, and demonstrated all kinds of on off campuses sustained roles with maintained, recorded all kinds of natures of military families and people associated with Justice Department rackets, Trade Center rackets, business rackets associated with that. Exploitation of the human fact treatment nature as criminalization associated with predicate acts and other natures of wire crime roles facilitated by the sensibilities of people, also preventing the mandated law from being followed per their uses by the courts, criminally foreign influence along criminally acting, hiding their life progressions as styles originally instilled, what the Santa Claus is about to, for how St. Nicholas was put in jail. Read Wikipedia has about St. Nicholas, wikipedia.com. I know the way, come on. So it's the guy in Goonies. There's an old movie from the 80s, Goonies says, I know the way. I like that kid. See, we have culture. We have culture used here and there. Modern nations are in a semi-ancient trap. So someone must rap, but states and areas prevent the quality of free speech from leaders, forcing them to stay naive convictions, pretending states and areas, intersciences, treatments of quality of fact treatment nature, treatments by the convictions of what is the identity of science. I'm not making opinions. See, but there, I'm talking about sequence shifts recorded. I'm talking about news crime acts recorded, all in the same little article. Stole me to a fake conversation with them. Stole my family to fake conversations with them, with their interbranch sources, attaching little kids to fake locations through time, fake conversations with others, fake recorded things into databases. Two Mendez police are also recorded. See, they have so many name stacking. This is also recorded because of the method they use associated with the same grammar school with the further child offenders. And now these are people that were involved with federal crimes against me when I was a kid. It's tied to their crime acts roles, intercities, the same ones. Intercultural too, on off the state judicial branches offices too. In physical culture, as roles using that self-valuing how that's exploited. They're are what really culture is about. Culture is about what is positive or negative in relationship to the invisible but still discernible identity of value progression that we are as a quality of diffusion unceasingly. This is the difference between positive that is criminal, the seditious nature of logic, and positive that is not, especially the criminally legalized. Again, since same ancient times, since before modern religions. See, they have, oh, religion, science, it can't be the same because they have that's why they this is a trick that made victim predators of faith and unity, needs for unity, even with slavery in it. Even though it's trick fact cheating nature with Jim Crow laws, shock and awe that where it counts, where and how it counts. And then what does it do? It invests everyone's self-valuing roles, making more shocking off because these are fake sides that can't talk about it. Since some ancient times, we're bonded group nations as what nature causes negative value, nature progressions, acts, natures. So we have sophistication because it's sophistication to make a nuclear weapon, but it's sophistication as unity confined to the defenses of. That's not sophistication. That's used to here and there. For example, to keep collusion with what originally and still had everyone in collusion using psychology's physical delusions, roles with criminal insidious nature, intersciences. Each identity of the law recorded criminally foreign influenced. Each branch of government recorded criminally foreign influence, delusions raw. Every modern nation at once, sickly distinctly, to keep how sickly non distinctly from being voiced, because you can only use evidences of lies and sequence shifts and of styles of pretending other. In other words, which actually recorded the correlation, the value of the fact treatment nature being had here. What it is a breaching organized crime method, all victim predator roles, for example, with democracy, with notions of voting, where and how pretending to be against voting crimes when while they're the ones already having been facilitated to all kind of Justice Department fact cheating nature racket roles. You can't defend it us at the same time. So what do? They have to keep everyone from, especially anyone with any kind of sophistication, actual, from free speech in a sustained manner. That's why they have people in jails that were innocent through time. They never allowed to demonstrate it. That's why they say everyone, you because the Justice Department is recorded. I'm trying to report what is recorded reality. They have physical delusions with experts with badges and with sick people, foreign and domestic, in collusion, like Russians against Russians and Americans against Americans. Further, with Trade Center attack crime acts roles, with a whole bunch of other nations like Pakistan, like the people associated with Italy, tied to a Joe DeMoro family, tied to a Mr. Approvesi, involved with more interreligious spots and intercampuses with child offenders, even sexual, even medical, even judicial, attaching people to fake locations, fake ties to other, even with overt criminal enterprises. Joshua Julian also recorded involved crimes, interbranch, with a whole bunch of other people with the Facebook pages, interbranch and uses of the campuses ones. They pretend other offensively, criminally, sequence shifting and as means to as facilitated and as nature's facilitated, pretending other as roles, spreading using federal criminal, in other words, verbal federal crimes like associated with extortion, extortion with attaching little kids to fake relationship, attaching telling lies to their parents, having them believe they were in locations they weren't, knowing people they don't, knowing people in ways they don't, people that were using that criminally. Whole bunch of people from former director of the FBI down, federal criminals, judges, and prosecutors and their families all facilitated the crime acts roles, intercampuses of each age through time tied, leading up to the Trade Center attack context in it, from Connecticut, interbranch intercampuses, crime acts facilitated. They have a whole bunch of fake things in databases. This is what is actually recorded. They forge and switch names. If you go before courts, they're forging, switching names, lying about your behavior. And even where they tell truths, they're attaching lies to it. They're sequence shifting. They're lying about what brought it in. They're forcing sustained fake care, and this is what sick people do. The same way, like the overt criminal enterprises, recorded crime acts with them categorically, sequentially, military, easily criminally foreign influence. Whole bunch of people associated with West Farmers Mall recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with them internetworks, criminal uses of databases, therefore the sensibility. Just please fix it, media. Don't stay, because they're telling you, the media is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. CNN, they quote statutes, they leave out exceptions. You're not supposed to be stealing my identity, telling a whole bunch of crime acts. Those crime acts will connect to a whole bunch of fake sources they have. They're trying to quantify what they invested everyone. Well, in other words, they're not supposed to have use hearsay, especially criminally set up hearsay. So they criminally set it up over here, and they criminally hide that. In other words, they've been already crimes, federal crimes with evidences formally interbranch, individually, crime methods individual grouped and together, the executive branch individually, the legislative branch, all their offices and things like that, their family members, everyone. This is an identity of the ground exploitation method. All are victim predators, and this is discernible. The evidences are proofs in the sustained ways that, but my free speech was prevented since I was a kid, per the people on off CCSU criminally involved, on off Trinity College criminally involved, with people from what my grammar school and then other campuses, which they'll tell you that too, that they put everyone into painted. They painted me and others to fake locations, fake. Well, there's a Dillon family, Sean Dillon, Kevin Dillon, and Anna Dillon involved with a whole bunch of natures of court, people on and off the state judicial branch offices, people involved with overt criminal enterprises, with evidential crimes with them through time, criminal uses of the state forensics labs, and with a whole bunch of people tied to it as a family members of a person who came into my grammar school when I was in fourth grade, and they're also involved with crimes with the killer, with the killers associated with that, and with the FBI associated with the witness protection program, keeping them victim predators used. They don't even know. In other words, and everyone's too afraid to talk about that. I don't have anything to do with, and these with these people from my town that they had in the past. I recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. I tried to tell on it, but they want to put everyone in. They use lawyers to put fake sides of issues, and to make people look like they have personal differences. Where even though now that's true, but it's first the most serious are distinctly and non-distinctly, is the most serious in sequence, the liars, and the ones criminally involved are the judicial branch ones, and the military inclusion with them, and simultaneously grouped it's sequentially the other way, because they have the guns, and the crime rolls with the databases the most, and the drugs the most. The former director of the FBI down, military with their uses of the all the drug dealing for the right through the police forms and stuff like that, attaching kids to fake locations, exploiting that through time, and with a whole bunch of people associated with New York City with the name Alicia, a whole bunch of women with the name Alicia associated with the intercampuses of each age, family members associated with. So they have sustained training of like criminal justice jobs, undercover jobs, for shared training of people like justice rackets in Puerto Rico. It's a territory, but it's Mexico. It's a territory. It's a country, but these are all share fake sides. These are identities of the law here, there, suits and ties, fake. They're all victims, but they're all victim predators. They're in value nature systems. They can't fathom what to do next. They can only be they can only say, "Thank God we're not like the rest of the people in our country," because each country has tactically forsaken to have that self-valued, because that's the breaching organized crime method. This is a racketeering method that's human. I'm not even a lawyer. They're using human fact sheet nature. I'm not a police from my criminal. And I want to stay that way. And you guys aren't letting him any prey. These are racketeering roles, Justice Department rackets on each area. How even they keep the people that are researching problems with areas involved with furthering them, and and how motivated to it recorded. This is tied to natures of intercampuses. The semi-ancient organized crime method knew that if they could get, see, this is what my play. I mean, this is what my movie is about. My book is about. But I have to talk about it because I'm being extorted, and it's worse than extortion, and it's worse than war crimes. And people are making overall allegations about when I say things because they have to pretend with that they know me. They have to pretend that I've been lying through time. People that walk up to people lying and then they call them liars because this is tied to what kept branches originally instilled offensive life progression, cover up nature's needs and styles. Then nature's needing to hide their actually recorded nature from correlation nature's actually recorded needs to have the identity of the ground, correlation nature to quality of fact, treatment nature of a quality, not obfuscated from what is simple, prevented protraction. This needs things like notions of what you said this is logistical. These are logistical impositions against culture actual always. See, they have physical culture. It's truth, but it's exceptionally existent truth difference physical. So in demonstration, what is undifferent, what is not different, what is different, what is positive or negative in relationship to that, which is our complete nature. Why we're individual, grouped, and species volume. Each person is individual, as simultaneously grouped, simultaneously species. This is the Trinity that is also self-generating per the identity of the value progression that we don't have to agree on. We're not supposed to agree on the name of it. We're supposed to see it play zone and reveal an identity of relationship to the ground that's actually inherently sequence true to inherently actively and progressively true always. That's where that's used by core. The science of correlation is what prayer was people's rising alpha. Why? It's why it is we can't help but bit our value. It's not just that we need the same things, but things of nature's identity of relationship to itself. See, this was filtered through a breaching organized crime method using racketeering method, using human fact treatment nature. This is with the transition from ACA, Organized Crime Control Act, to racketeering influence and corrupt organization act. Our stewards of that, like Robert Luskin, involved with federal crime rules with a whole bunch of other recorded and confessed to demonstrate interbranch police with databases, stealing people's identities, spreading lies, and like uh, assisting all kinds of evidential racketeering with a whole bunch of natures of courts, especially New Britain Superior Court, intercities through time, sequence shifting too to prevent free speech. They're making people fight about issues out of sequence, not report, not say anything about the torture acts and the extortion acts and the identity theft acts and the facilitated property rights thefts roles and everything, intellectual property right. These are people Russia and America, same thing. They're using the same organized crime methods. We have a Dr. Graham and have a whole bunch of natures of courts involved with these federal crime roles of these courts since before that. So they're needing to keep things out of sequence and pretend the other and just pretend all, because then when you go into court, they're going to pretend what they already have in databases is real. They're attaching little kids to fake locations through time. I just remind. So there is an O'Brien family, and there is there are a Casper family that I never had a clash with the O'Brien family. I only saw them on the campus grounds a few times, like in other words. And then in one grade, like in other words, and then it changes when you go each grade. So in other words, you have people that go next to you, so they say they know you, but they're using that to prevent people. They're just saying lying in the background because they have integrity of titles, which is criminally foreign influence titles. These are people with their extended family members also involved with Newtown, Sandy Hook, involved with crimes with body dumping spots and with forensics labs involved criminally with all kinds of foreign and domestic people on off mobile gas stations, on off the locations around the web house and the street the house on the corner of houses on the corners of Church Street are recorded and confessed involved with crimes all the way from there, Church Street, and the one how corner house on the corner of it in Old Main Street, Old Weathersfield, and straight up to all the way through Newington into New Britain and Central Connecticut State University. There are a whole bunch of people involved with a whole bunch of other nations with a whole bunch of natures of crimes, federal crimes. And see that it's in a method that's maintaining name stacked crimes against people because it's a method that keeps states and areas needing to hide line progressions by using their means to do that by pretending to perceive things, by pretending things recorded into databases in the background, by pretending to be above vetting and preventing demonstration of that, how it's being used to further organized crime, racketeering, with databases, with sustained natures of torture and of exploitations of that against equality of fact sheet nature. They have things like racism. All are victims, but in other words, and some are the most. But see, they need everyone roles, blaming other things, others, and selves for what is sustained both simultaneous fake care and fake righteous justice, hurt, weapons as state upon people, weapons as science positive, pseudo, criminal ceaseless nature, worse than criminally foreign influence delusions raw, originally and still. We have logistical impositions to face here. And we have to do it by realizing that and how our nations are sick with suits and ties and bombs. And the evidences of it using actual quality factory nature, their styles. They're repeating the same styles that are all reliant upon the perfect world forsaken. The perfect world. They have that phrase involved former director of the FBI down, involved with the various networks, the various campuses that are from off campuses maintained on and off them. Former director of the FBI down, involved crimes with a whole bunch of people, so it facilitated directly and indirectly criminal uses of my grammar school since since I was a kid, and of databases of I went to of a school I went to before that with the same people involved criminally. No, they're stacking names. So they say, "Oh, I want to defend myself." Well, they're forging names and switching names. The state's attorney's office is recorded and confessed and has demonstrated offensive pretending things were communicated that weren't. They're hiding their confessions to me and others about their roles with falsified police reports, faking recorded things into databases. Two Mendes police involved with a whole bunch of other police and people tied to them, like DeMoros, like Kurz, recorded and confessed involved all kinds of racketeering with them, all kinds of KNER too, crimes within New Britain Superior Court and and the Kerr family also. Officer Jerry Miller further recorded and actively involved with criminal uses of the witness protection program. His roles with wire crimes with houses in my area tied to that, and as the ones involved with overt criminal enterprises, crime acts roles with them. With this Dillon family, retired and other retired and standing detectives and police forms in the area, foreign and domestic also, and then ducking behind that. Their roles with people that were put in my like an Oliveri, involved with people with the corners of the houses, with the sensibilities associated with what they call politics, things like that. All Oz. This is originally and still the religion. Phil, you'll hear, you'll see our means appear. That needs to be clear. So we have mandated law not followed. WFSB is recorded and confessed the involved with the extortion of me. They're refusing to fix their fake news crime acts. They're involved with offensive identity theft, natures of identity theft bonded. They bond roles to it. Then those people try to talk about their family members, start saying, start pretend, oh, well, because they all start pretending emotions, things like that. And the courts are the whole time they're preventing mandated law because they're the ones recorded criminally involved with the campuses, with their police forms, and with the other police forms, and with their families. All this involves the branches recorded distinctly, individually grouped, and together crime acts and methods. Grouped, in other words, all liars. This is but per what is really keeping all the overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and the branches needed, and those campuses needed to hide the same finite, active, and progressive lies, sequence shifts, forging names, switching names, and then doing that with areas, illusions. And this is sustained on each people on each age of fact treatment nature. We have had too long pseudo glorified titles, pseudo long glorified notions of the worth of types of jobs. Originally and still, you can't defend that and tell American history, which is about disorganized crime method using human fact treatment nature. Here, he means here. Here, emotions and passions, their actual course and means is not let voice, free speech. Now one must teach. It's for real. So I want the businesses to get ready because if WFSB doesn't act fast, we have the women involved also involved. Their motivations, they're victims, but they're victim predators speaking through others with a whole bunch of offensive identity theft crime acts roles. So it's important to know too that they're putting people into fake um, classrooms with others into the narratives of kids' heads by repeating things and then exploiting it through time. I just remind. Now there was reports of so there's a whole bunch of people tied to this Casper family and to this former Mayor Gold and to a pattern of people involved with this O'Brien family and Rick Sion Faglione, and people from on off CCSU recorded, confessed, and demonstrated federal crime acts roles with a whole bunch of people with the courts involved criminally and with CCSU, with on and off it, with drugs with kids through time, and with the roles with the database crimes, and with people that were the criminal uses. This is people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated federal crimes with the news too. Like John Maiano involved with a whole bunch of people in New Britain Superior Court, federal crimes with WFSB, with people associated with body dumping spots, people associated with stop and shops and places next to them evolve further with child offender roles, other natures of crimes, drug crime roles, like stop and shop in the corner of at the end of the Berlin Turnpike almost. And then they're right near around the corner from there is a construction place also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved. So, but these are women judges involved also with these child offenders because they're hiding integrities that they never had into branch, and they're needing to do it offensively as maintained needing to. These are intercities, whole bunch of people on off. West Farms Mall, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack, criminally involved with it, on off gas stations and policing of like McDonald's and things like that. So we have shared locations used criminally by, sustained needs to counter things that are as roles that are used to further them, as natures used to further them. So they need to hide their actually recorded nature. See correlation nature. You see in that cartoon with the projects and Little Rap Guy and Friends, because CNN has the word projects now with Van Jones. The CNN sources involved with Justice Department corruption, where they have victims used and predators used to further their crime acts roles, recorded, confessed, and uses by them, and motivations for it, how maintained, motivated, in collusion with the prison's leaderships, like CCSU's training of the prison leaderships, and their crime acts roles recorded with the houses on Church Street in Old Weathersfield, involved with database crimes, drug crime roles, formal and informal, crime acts roles with on from off the grounds of campus education, on off campuses in layers, and they're all being coached to how to to steal people's identities and pretend to not to realize, because the whole time they're being used to prevent mandated law because of the courts' criminal uses of them. And the police forms already, from people tied to the former director of the FBI down, all Weathersfield police, a whole bunch of Weathersfield police recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, tied to me and to others. They're involved intercities through time, crime acts against me, federal crime acts against everyone. These are federal criminals. Weathersfield Police Department. These are racketeering natures with racketeering roles with former FBI down, a whole bunch of other nations, people associated with this, with Mike Pandolf, associated also criminal uses like I don't know if he's Puerto Rican or Mexican, but he pretended to hate against me. He had that probably tied to, I don't know his wife's name, but they repeated her to me. Then I saw her, and she had, like, they said that she ripped her eyebrows out, whatever. I don't know her name even. So they made they did things that, like, in other words, that are fact cheaping nature racket roles, where they know they're not going to ever let people have free speech. They're stealing people's identity. They're forming people to roles. Then they're making bad things happen between kids, so they can write others when they bring it before courts, because those courts already did all kinds of bad things. And nature itself is recorded, forcing them to hide line progressions, forcing them to hide their actually recorded natures. So they say, "Oh, you can't sue the government." They're recorded crime acts rules personally in personal cases, perjury crime act, perjury racketeering rules. Originally and still, Regent Phil. Please fix the fake news, WFSB, so I don't have to keep asking through the businesses involved with you criminally. And again, with your roles with on and off campuses, maintain of each age, maintained off the records, organized racketeering, roles with child offenders, roles with interbranch, individually, distinctly and non-distinctly, forging names, switching names, preventing mandated law, sickly, long, with boxing is strong. We have all the opinions, the same narrative, sick, with the counter, as well, all victims, but all victim predators, free speech. Watch the sequence shifts. Watch what's actually recorded. Free speech. Free speech. Get off my identity and respond to why they haven't responded to the rest of the rape threats and sequence shifts and medical and sexual crime acts roles and sustained time impositions and health impositions, right, with doctors associated with the various natures of courts criminally involved with these kids, attaching them to fake locations, sick drug clicks through time, like with this just Joshua Julian. Now, he's also recorded and confessed involved with a whole bunch of federal crimes and body dumping spots and untimely death clicks, federal crime acts roles with his identity theft roles. And then they pretend, oh, the motivations. They're recorded criminally, preventing their criminal uses, pretending the word motivation. They're prevent their crime acts use roles with the judges. There's nothing I'm asking debatable. That's their criminal uses of FBI, of Facebook, and of the FBI databases. These are misprision styles of liars, valuing how they're criminally foreign influenced, uh, all grouped liars together. So that's self-valued, because other nations are the same thing. Boxing. That's why. Free speech. It's worse. Now one must teach. Don't torture me. Get in place. You guys stop stacking them. They're stacking the numbers of people's involved. Then they tell those they got the men and women acting. They tell them, oh, because statistically, our viewers like it better if we act like this. This is acting as criminal and seditious nature, pretending they're not realizing their identity theft racket roles. Their racketeering crime acts, federal crime acts roles. The roles with attaching kids to fake locations through time. They're exploiting that because they're doing bad things, boxings. They're pretending they have that, with this criminal, we need to have experts qualified, but they're pretending they're using those qualifications to pretend they don't realize that doesn't mean that they're not supposed to be told on. They're not supposed to be sick natures of racketeering crime acts with male crime acts roles. That's what they're doing. We need a response for this Leahy family, attaching me to fake conversations, sharing the name Brendan Leahy with a whole bunch of people associated with medical corruption, with crimes with the police forms in my area, with drugs, with the kids, with this games with it, where they have federal evidence crimes. Then they stack all these names of people you don't even know, all pretending not to realize, and for other motivations why they're saying things. I don't care what they're saying it for. That's recorded. There's a recorded pattern that he doesn't even know about. I'm not trying to talk about his motivations. I'm trying to say he's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by already proven child sex offenders, further involved with women and men judges involved with this. A number of women judges, a number of women state's attorneys, a number of women associated with prosecutors. This is originally instilled. They were sick roles with and as ones on off religious spots clicks, and their sensibilities also recorded criminally involved, and with on off fire department investigators involved, and with smoke seems like they stack too many things. We just do that because we have offensive evidence reception predators into branch. We need a response. They need to pick one name in sequence. They're quoting laws and statutes criminally, pretending not to realize, already having been facilitated demonstrations of that, recorded. See, they're pretending things recorded. That's why we have to see who denies this. Why they're forging names and switching names. Judges have forging names and switching names, crime acts roles with these Mendez police, with a whole, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with sexual abuses and other. I mean, a whole bunch of natures of child abuses of women and of girls when they were kids, through their roles as verbal federal racketeering crime acts roles, and for the roles with identity thefts, and for the roles with and narratives with attaching me and other kids to fake locations, criminal uses of where people are going to walk after in relationship to databases, criminal roles with clicks with a whole bunch of Washington D.C. Trade Center military criminally foreign influence identity theft rackets roles with lie progressions too. Sustain. Not one has trained. Okay, so I don't want to debate about debatable. They want to debate debatable, so to pretend they're not preventing my free speech. I'm trying to report these crime acts and methods recorded. They've been sticking fake things into databases since I was a kid. There are real sick, bad people associated with these two Mendez police. They are recorded, involve lying to people to hide, or pretending, oh, they're supposed to just pretend the integrity of the police. They're hiding all exceptions being used criminally. Mendez police respond here in writing. This Janito Mendez is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a whole bunch of other police before him too, with federal crimes, mail crimes, forging names, switching names, crimes with the MPO Floyd, crimes with female judges, with the females with the courts or in New Britain Superior Court, females with Hartford courts, criminally up leading up to the Trade Center attack in it, and since with the investigators for the predicate acts, Trade Center attack. Give me a response. No one wants to. I can't. I can't. If I call on the phone, they lie about it. This is the extent because they have. This is why you have to have a response because the branches they'll lie about what's actually recorded now. This is how bad they're involved criminality through administrations. This is how insidiously they need to hide off already all kinds of Justice Department racket influenced crime acts and cases. They have lie progressions tied to that. We're in a value nature system that is about identities, nature, or volume. Every other algorithm is associated with an abridged fact treatment nature, abridged constitution breaching organized crime role. Victims, but victim predators. This is identity of the ground. And then database type, all lie. So what's with the identity of the ground exploitation tied to our quality fact treatment nature? That then self-values what was is so insidiously stuck to the databases tied to what is tucked into what the narratives with the kids. What's going to unfold? They say, "Oh, we want it that way." That's why you need to have the mandated law followed. We have criminally foreign influence, all private tied to the branches, all private tied intercampuses, including fire campuses, of the training of them, and including the campuses. I believe it's a fire campus referred to, like Weathersfield Fire Campus on Griswold Street, also involved crimes with Russians with their roles with database crimes with them and with election crimes. An Inspector Mike recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a whole bunch of other people crimes with the town offices, with election crimes, former director of the FBI down, involved with the people associated with federal criminals with him, with their with campuses I went to, with the people involved with fake narratives, pretending me to locations on the campuses. I don't even have anything to do with these people. They're pretending they're needing to pretend things in relationship to their sequence shifts already involved with collusion with judges, with interbranch family members of police forms of judges. So we have elections, other natures of election crime, no matter who wins. They have this against them. The FBI has recorded in crimes worse than criminally foreign influence as the only people they can't knowing we don't have anybody that's not in collusion already. These are victim part of this forgiveness is because of this method of organized crime that made each branch of government value the quote unquote quote perfect world unquote forsaken, and that was is exploited by the breaching method that has a whole bunch of methods of liar bond has that exploited originally and still too the identity of each branch itself, each individual of it, each difference of it, each age, each group, each difference, and progressively. So someone please help because Facebook is recorded and involved with these natures of crimes. And this just reminds, see, women interbranch. If you try to ask Nancy Pelosi, she's not going to help me. These are women judges. They don't. They all use what is women as a value treatment, as standing criminal insidiousness natures, as roles with sick men, originally and still. The forgiveness is for this. They're recorded sicker than most overt criminal enterprises and crime acts with them and crime acts uses of the witness protection program with the same ones involved with it. Also crime acts roles with their family members, same ones with same house in my area and try to tie with child sex offenders. Further tied with the campus with of the principal child offender. All kinds of natures of child abuses. Whole bunch of natures of all people involved with that now involved with it because it's through the Justice Department racket rolls that already use me, my name criminally. Now, if you try to, the evidence I have are the judges forging names, switching names, lying when I go into court, speaking through others criminally, forcing me to speak through others because they lie. They make confessions also used criminally here. They're using religion criminally here, preventing religious rights, pretending other offensively, forcing rules. They use prevented righteous justice to keep people locked into either you entertain their sick fake experts, racketeering narratives and uses of you, or you get hurt even worse. They hurt you in any way. Amen. Pray. Look around. This is set up by the organized crime method that our American history is about. The torture of our founders, their slavery, their stolen identities, and our torture. For example, to even try to tell it. For example, to say, "Oh, they held slaves." That was already entrenched here. Everyone was a slave role. Our founders would rather be called Uncle Toms. That's more accurate of telling of American history than to be pseudo glorified insidiously, and to have that self value to maintain each nature of title. You can't defend that and not hurt and value hurt free speech speaking true. What pretends they're offensively pretending that all because the online business because the job employers won't like if you're the job employers won't like if you say something bad on Facebook. Those job employers are recorded and involved with racketeering roles with Facebook, with the former director of the FBI down, a whole bunch of other nations gather around. This uses this is the extortion method that uses the value of jobs in relationship to you can't value that what was let private victim. So you don't have anything to do. Your tactically nature relationship to nature means so you have to play this game, and they do it the same, suits and ties. Tactically denatured relationship to nature, trying to pretend to be against it by using the term, uh, the word slash value environment, anything but to let us understand identity's course, which is Trinity's, which to the extent of positive we are, it is positive or negative, and the semi-nature that is more and more our complete nature. Each complete nature is simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature relationship to the identity of all things at once. And how it is unto itself is how and why we are each individual, grouped sex, age, area, grouped. This grouped nature of volume is in demonstration to us of its value with the invisible but still discernible. Everything is the invisible is the value of one identity relationship to itself. The one that is self, that one that is only fills. And see, that's why and how yin yang is inseparable. So we could, in all exceptions and exception nature is in demonstration of it. We could separate alpha left to right from yin yang inside omega at all. and alpha being A. This is how little rap guy and friends are going to teach English, the timeless way, because the science is sharing identity. So we're going to examine the real causes of predicate acts, which are organized crime related. And when needing to counter organized crime acts, you need to attribute that to a group called a criminal enterprise. So now you have to start making group distinctions. And then you have to start valuing those group distinctions. And what was valuing that since before our founders were born as victims, but all as victim predators. Even if they didn't own slaves, people. Even if they were against it, everyone's against that. But there was no organized crime mold, making the people, everyone. No one wanted to do those jobs. No one wants to do ones now through that are forced. We're in value nature systems where we have various natures of courts, distinctly and non-distinctly, simultaneously, various natures of police forms with badges, criminally involved. We have to counter that group the first. That calls out a whole bunch of interbranch sources and their family members criminally foreign involved, lying in the backgrounds, involved with identity thefts, attaching little kids to fake locations, crimes with a whole bunch of doctors associated with Hartford Hospital, Institutional Living, involved crimes on off their locations with overt criminal enterprises, with their patients, with a whole bunch of family members of fire departments involved, Russian people involved, or Predicate Acts Trade Center. These are people pretending they had conversations with people, forging names, switching names, forcing people to their location. These are 3 times Hartford Hospital, the Institute of Living, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated federal crimes with a Dillon family and with other military families involved with attaching little kids to fake locations through time, attaching kids to fake words in police reports, their roles with judges, forging names, switching names with child sex offenders associated with them, also making fake child sex offender maps online because they're sustaining crime acts roles every campus I go to. Crime acts methods roles too, recorded. They know are recorded. So they steal the identities of people because they have to. They were facilitated needing to and valuing it. People in the background lying when I speak. People there are mayors retired and standing further involved with worse than criminal incompetence. They want to have personal conversations because they have obligations now to get me one name in sequence into branch because we're in writing now because they pretend things recorded. If you call up the police, they'll lie about the substance recorded. They've been using Facebook and used other online platforms, even having people pretend conversations and pretend delusions so they could have investigators pretend to perceive that. We have offensive evidence reception brackets. We have people associated with let you want to do the logistics of the ground. You want, don't make us just give up. Fix the fake news. WFSBs recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a crime method of spreading lies and stacking a whole bunch of people's names. Then that makes the involved with it. That makes the effect of a whole bunch of people and families and all tied to them motivated to talk bad about people they don't know and pretend they know them. And that's in collusion with what is criminally using the databases through time with interbranch family members, intermilitary, and how mixed foreign whole bunch of people, foreign nations associated with federal crimes, racketeering crimes with the DeMoro family, with the Kerr family, forging names, switching names, all kind of Joe Aiello recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with them. with a whole bunch of people with CCSU, with Trinity College, involved federal crimes. His sister is involved with them with racketeering crime act roles, with judges, with the police forms leading up to in the Trade Center attack context. A whole bunch of people's police forms intercities, like Hartford, Connecticut, Weathersfield, Connecticut, associated with this Joe Aiello, with houses and businesses next to schools like Buckley School. See that? Watch this pattern. He's involved with crimes with intercities, on and off schools involved. Also, those people involved criminal uses of state streams of places, like tied to Dakotas, like tied to on the border place associated with a, um, Robert Rodriguez, associated with people from the former director of the FBI down, federal crimes with overt criminal enterprises, criminal uses of body dumping spots connected by untimely deaths, criminal uses of as crime acts roles with people on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU, also facilitated with and as ones that brought up the child offenders, proven and further associated with the grammar school I went to and with the houses next to it, further involved, and the police chief and his daughter, and the former principal when I went there. I don't know what they wrote in databases, but those people, in other words, if you guys don't have problems with me, then put something in. Especially if you think you have a problem with me or ever did, put something on paper, because you guys are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with these O'Brien, a whole bunch of people on off CCSU, interdepartments with a whole bunch of natures of federal crimes, with people on Church Street. This just reminds, with people with databases through time, with a whole bunch of drug crimes, former director of the FBI down, other agencies, their family members, sick degenerates with kids, with pretending they know me by trying to imply it, pretending that's illegal. Oh, it's just online. So we have this force sustained per their identity theft racket roles. We have to counter the judges attaching little kids to fake locations in time. We have to counter the women roles with and as degenerates. Every fact treatment they make congressionally, they're sick. They're victim predators. This is not to change the voting. Then we have more victim predators only that realize that we have to counter the inter-grammar schools connected to the inter-middle school ones, further recorded, confessed on off the middle school too, on off the high school, for as the ones on these campuses. Again, I'm trying to tell you, intercities, on off each age of campus are connections. And the ones off the record known are before that was sophistication, before our founders were born, this sick racket using correlation nature was already entrenched. Now follow mandated law, WFSB. Stop stacking names of families and people involved with your rackets, with judges, with kids, with prosecutors, with kids, recorded and confessed by you, criminally involved. Recorded and confessed by them, criminally involved. You guys are now trying to hide whatever you're trying to hide with those fake news crime acts. You have roles with the real or made up shooting associated with the Weathersfield police, Weathersfield pizza, on off the state judicial branch off with you. A whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family with my new and past neighbors involved with you. Crimes with kids, crimes in my name. Get. What is their names? What are their names? They're involved with the judges, with the crimes, various natures of courts, and their family members. So there's no way to sue with it because they're forging and switching names. So we need federal stewardships of Connecticut. We need federal stewardships of the campuses. They're victims, but they're incapable of they're being coached to it from off campuses. So we have to show them means to counter this. This is really what is tied to all kinds of natures of problems. Keeps everyone theater meeting theater. That's bad, 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 bad. The nature is a life progression is meeting life progression. Cover up nature's styles, needs, fake integrity natures, offensively, not by accident, valuing our highest leaders associated with that ones that you don't even know. They recorded sequence shifts, crimes, offensive evidence reception crimes, and physical delusions with their Mueller treatments, with their Comey treatments, with their treatments of word projects, and with by CNN, their uses of people of color, which they refer to it as, because they don't know how they have sensibilities with it, because they have what is it entertained by and as the value of science is, they can't entertain that in actual integrity's voice. We have logistical impositions upon our actual culture, which is Trinity. Yeah, I won't see.